nobody owns the moon. At least, not officially. For decades it has existed as humanity's silent companion in the night sky, a barren world frozen in time after the Apollo missions ended. We walked on its surface, planted flags, collected rocks, and then left it behind like a completed chapter in human history. But something has changed. Quietly, and almost without most people noticing, the moon has transformed from a scientific destination into the most valuable piece of real estate beyond Earth. And now, NASA is preparing for the largest expansion of human civilization since the age of exploration. This is not another Apollo mission. This is not a short visit measured in days. NASA's new plan involves permanent habitats, massive lunar vehicles, mining operations, autonomous drones, industrial facilities, and eventually an entire network of settlements spread across the moon's south pole. A city on another world. And behind all of it lies a growing geopolitical tension that feels increasingly familiar. Because China is heading there too. For the first time in more than half a century, humanity is entering a new space race. But unlike the Cold War race to plant a flag, this time the goal is permanence. Whoever establishes control over the moon's most valuable regions first may shape the future of human civilization in space for centuries to come. The strange thing is that this new race began because scientists realized the moon is not the dead wasteland we once imagined. For years, the moon seemed useless beyond scientific curiosity. It had no atmosphere, no liquid water, and temperatures so extreme that survival looked nearly impossible. During the Apollo era, the moon represented achievement, not opportunity. Once astronauts proved humans could survive there, interest slowly faded. Politicians lost motivation, funding disappeared, and humanity remained trapped on Earth. But modern lunar missions started revealing something extraordinary hidden near the moon's south pole. There are craters there so deep and permanently shadowed that sunlight has never touched them for billions of years. Temperatures inside these craters are colder than Pluto. In some places, scientists believe frozen water has remained untouched since before life on Earth became complex. And that changes everything. Water in space is more valuable than gold. It means drinking water for astronauts. It means oxygen for breathable air. More importantly, it means rocket fuel. Water can be separated into hydrogen and oxygen, creating the exact fuel needed for deep space travel. Suddenly, the moon is no longer just a distant rock orbiting Earth. It becomes a fuel station for the entire solar system. Imagine trying to sail across the Atlantic in the 1400s without ports, supply stations, or fresh water. That is essentially what space travel looks like today. Every mission launched from Earth must carry enormous amounts of fuel just to escape our planet's gravity. Rockets become gigantic because they spend most of their mass lifting fuel into space. But the moon changes the equation completely. Its gravity is 6 times weaker than Earth's. Launching fuel from the lunar surface would be dramatically cheaper and easier. And NASA knows this. That realization is driving the Artemis program, the most ambitious human space exploration project since Apollo. Named after the twin sister of Apollo in Greek mythology, Artemis is not designed to repeat the past. It is designed to replace it. Apollo proved humans could reach the moon. Artemis aims to turn the moon into humanity's first permanent foothold beyond Earth. The scale of NASA's vision is staggering. The agency is planning a network of infrastructure spread across hundreds of square miles near the lunar South Pole. Permanent habitats positioned on elevated ridges where sunlight is almost constant. Solar power stations generating energy for future settlements. Mining systems extracting water ice from permanently shadowed craters. Processing facilities converting that ice into usable fuel and oxygen. Landing pads separated from habitats to avoid destructive rocket exhaust. Nuclear power systems placed far away for safety. roads and rover paths connecting everything together, like the earliest version of an extraterrestrial civilization. This will not resemble the compact image most people imagine when they think of a moon base. NASA's future lunar settlement is more like an entire frontier region, a collection of spread-out industrial zones, research stations, transportation systems, and exploration hubs covering huge areas of the lunar surface. And private companies are becoming essential to building it. Blue Origin, SpaceX, Astrobotic, Firefly Aerospace, Intuitive Machines, and several others are now competing to become the builders of humanity's future beyond Earth. The moon is no longer controlled entirely by governments. Corporations are becoming architects of civilization itself. But this new era nearly suffered a major setback before it even truly began. In May, Blue Origin's enormous New Glenn rocket exploded during a hot-fire test at Cape Canaveral. The explosion was catastrophic. Towers were damaged, infrastructure was destroyed. Engineers compared the blast to some of the worst rocket disasters in modern spaceflight history. For a moment, it looked as if one of NASA's key lunar transport systems might collapse entirely. Yet only days later, NASA continued forward with remarkable confidence. Because there is growing urgency behind the scenes, China is rapidly advancing its own lunar ambitions. Chinese missions are targeting many of the same strategically valuable regions near the lunar South Pole. Their long-term plans include robotic stations, infrastructure development, and eventually crewed lunar habitats. Suddenly, the moon is no longer simply a scientific project. It is becoming geopolitical territory. Officially, international treaties prevent nations from claiming ownership of the moon. But reality is far more complicated, because while countries may not legally own lunar territory, infrastructure creates control. If one nation controls the safest landing sites, the energy systems, the transportation networks, and the fuel production facilities, then it effectively controls access to that region. History has seen this pattern before. Ports controlled oceans, railroads controlled continents, oil fields controlled economies. Now, lunar infrastructure may control humanity's future in space. And NASA's most fascinating technology may also be the least known. The agency is developing autonomous rocket drones called moonfall systems. These drones are unlike traditional rovers. Instead of slowly driving across the terrain, they launch themselves through short rocket-powered flights across the moon's surface. Their purpose is to map the environment in extraordinary detail, scanning terrain down to centimeter-level resolution while using radar to search for hidden water deposits beneath the surface. But there is another reason these drones matter. They establish presence. By mapping territory, surveying resources, and creating navigational infrastructure, they effectively define the operational borders of future lunar settlements. It is a modern version of exploration once seen during the earliest periods of human expansion on Earth. The symbolism is impossible to ignore. Humanity is preparing to divide territory on another world. And for the first time since the end of the Cold War, space is beginning to feel politically tense again. But beyond politics lies something even bigger, something far more profound. NASA's moon plans are not really about the moon itself. They are about survival. For all of human history, civilization has existed on one fragile planet. Every city, every empire, every invention, every piece of art, every human who has ever lived existed beneath a thin atmosphere surrounding a single world. Earth feels enormous to us, but from space it is unbelievably delicate. One asteroid impact, one supervolcano, one global catastrophe could threaten civilization on a scale humanity has never experienced. The moon represents the first serious attempt to break that limitation. A successful lunar civilization would prove that humans can survive beyond Earth permanently. It would force us to solve impossible problems involving radiation, food production, energy systems, artificial habitats, and long-term psychological survival in hostile environments. Every solution developed on the moon becomes preparation for Mars, and eventually for deeper exploration into the solar system. The moon is the training ground for becoming a spacefaring species. And perhaps that is why this moment feels so historically important. Humanity is standing at the edge of a transition that previous generations could only imagine in science fiction. For thousands of years, the stars were unreachable lights in the sky. Now engineers are designing transportation systems, power grids, and industrial operations for another world. The future is no longer theoretical, it is under construction. But hidden beneath all the optimism is an uncomfortable question nobody can fully answer. What happens when humanity brings its oldest instincts into space? Competition, territory, resources, power. History on Earth is filled with examples of exploration leading to conflict. New frontiers often begin with dreams of discovery and end with struggles over control. The moon may become humanity's greatest achievement, or it may become the first stage for geopolitical rivalry beyond Earth. Already alliances are forming. NASA's Artemis Accords include dozens of nations supporting one vision for lunar development. China and Russia are pursuing separate partnerships and independent lunar strategies. Two competing systems are slowly emerging around the future of space itself, and there are no clear rules for what happens next. The treaties governing space were written decades ago during a completely different era. They never imagined corporations mining resources on the moon. They never imagined autonomous drones surveying territory or permanent settlements operating beyond Earth. Humanity is entering legal and ethical territory that has never existed before. And then there is the deeper psychological shift. The first humans who grow up permanently connected to lunar settlements may begin seeing Earth differently than every generation before them. Imagine standing on the moon and watching Earth rise above the horizon, glowing blue against endless darkness. From that perspective, nations disappear. Borders vanish. Humanity becomes one tiny civilization floating through space. That perspective changes people. Apollo astronauts described a profound emotional effect after seeing Earth from space for the first time. Some called it the overview effect, a realization that humanity's divisions feel insignificant when viewed from outside the planet itself. Now imagine entire generations raised with that perspective from birth. The moon may not just change where humans live, it may change how humans think. Right now, somewhere inside NASA facilities, private aerospace companies, and research laboratories around the world, engineers are quietly designing humanity's first true expansion beyond Earth. Habitats are being tested, lunar vehicles are being developed, autonomous systems are being trained, entire supply chains are being planned for another world. And above us tonight, the moon continues orbiting Earth in silence, exactly as it has for billions of years. But for the first time in its existence, that silence is beginning to end. Because humanity is no longer looking at the moon as a distant object in the sky. We are looking at it as the next world we may someday call home. And maybe that is the strangest part of all. The future people once imagined in movies and science fiction is no longer fantasy. It is engineering schedules, rocket launches, construction plans, political negotiations. Human beings are actively preparing to build civilization beyond Earth for the very first time. One crater, one mission, one landing at a time. And if we succeed, future generations may look back at this moment the same way we look back at the first ships crossing unknown oceans centuries ago. Not as the end of exploration, but as the beginning of something far larger than anyone alive today can fully understand. If you enjoyed this documentary, make sure to subscribe for more cinematic journeys into space, astronomy, and the future of humanity beyond Earth. And tell us in the comments, if humans build permanent cities on the moon, who should control them?